SpongeBob is such a great example of showing us what stress does to us. We can't think clearly. Obviously, in the episode, it's like very overdramatic, but that's a great example. We can't show up fully when we are stressed. So take care of yourself. Welcome to the Be Mindful podcast. I am your host, women's mindset and manifestation coach, Raechelle Torrio. If you are interested in manifestation, personal development, or spirituality, you have came to the right place. This podcast was created with the intention to help you become mindfully aware of how you think, what you speak, and what you believe, because who you are from within is what you will attract from the out. Let's begin. Hi there, beautiful soul. Welcome back to the Be Mindful podcast. On today's episode, we are going to be talking about showing up for yourself. What does it mean to show up for yourself? What does that look like? Showing up for yourself basically means making a conscious effort to prioritize your physical, your emotional, and mental well-being. And it can manifest in various forms depending on what works best for you. In a world that often glorifies hustle and productivity, it's really easy to forget that true success and true happiness really comes from prioritizing well-being and investing in our personal growth. And the month of May is all about mental health awareness. If you know me personally, if you've been following me on this podcast, then you know mental health is important to me. And being able to recognize the importance of mental health and taking steps to take care of ourselves emotionally and also just our psychological well-being, we can create a better balance in our life. We become resilient and we feel more fulfilled within our lives. So in this podcast episode, it is my intention to break down those barriers and provide a safe and supportive space where we could talk about this. I'm going to explore different strategies on how you can support yourself and really show up while also setting healthy boundaries for yourself, practicing self-care, and also just being able to take charge and pursue whatever it is that you're passionate about. I was inspired to create this episode today because I showed up for myself recently in a way that benefited me, my overall well-being. And part of it was actually stepping away from this podcast. A big part of it is because I had to go out of state very last minute last month, and I had to be there for my family. Not only that, I had a big adjustment at work. I was getting a lot busier, and with everything happening emotionally, I didn't know how to handle all of it. It was really difficult, and it kind of brought me into a place where I was starting to doubt my abilities because I wasn't able to show up the way that I wanted to. But the thing that I needed to remember was that my best was always enough, and that certain days are going to look different, and that's totally normal. So showing up for yourself can look different every single day, but when you prioritize your overall well-being, you're also affecting your happiness. You're able to provide for yourself because when you show up for yourself, you can easily show up for others too. The other half is also investing in your personal growth and your development. So for example, are you doing that right now? What is something that you're doing right now that is pushing you to grow, to be a better version of yourself? How are you developing into the person you want to be that's going to live the life that you want? Are you showing up for your dreams? Are you putting in the work towards things that you desire to have? Because every single one of us deserves to have what we desire. Showing up for ourselves can sometimes be difficult because we overthink. We overthink the action before we do it, and that's why sometimes we don't do it. That's why if it was easy, more people would be happier. More people would be living the life that they desired. More people would be living in their dreams. But the thing is, not many of us realize that we are choosing our hard every day. There's this quote I heard, and it has changed my life. And it goes like this: choose your hard, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. What are you going to choose today? How are you going to work on yourself today? How are you going to show up for yourself today? So I wanted to share some examples of how you can show up for yourself. But again, it could look different for everyone. But I think it's important to remember that there's two parts of showing up for yourself: your well-being and then also your personal development. So you can work on both. So I'm going to give you a few tips on how you could do that today. So the first one that's going to be part of your well-being is practicing self-care. Self-care is so necessary. And this can include so many different things. It can include going outside for a walk. It could be you turning on some music and just laying in bed and vibing with it. Maybe it's you doing some yoga. Maybe it's you going to the gym. However that looks for you, that's going to nourish your soul. Practice that often. Add it into your calendar. Make it an appointment with yourself, a priority to show up for yourself. Another example of showing up for yourself that can also tie into your well-being is practicing being present, practicing mindfulness. When you practice mindfulness, you become powerful. And what I mean by that is you become so aware of your thoughts and your emotions. And this allows you to tap into your intuition. It helps you cultivate a sense of calmness and clarity so that you can start making more intuitive decisions. Practicing mindfulness overall just brings you back to the present moment. And there's nothing better than that. Being able to enjoy right now, being able to be present with yourself and maybe the tasks that you're working on. Like, for example, me working on this podcast episode right now, I wouldn't be able to provide a good episode if I'm so worried about what I need to do in 30 minutes, what I need to get done in an hour or later this day. I wouldn't be able to create this for you because I'd just be so focused on something else that doesn't matter because I'm right here, right now. One of my other favorite ways to show up for myself is really step into my creativity. And it could be anything, but one of the first things that I thought of was, for example, my manifestation journals. So I have created two manifestation journals, one called Busy Manifesting, the other one called Manifest That Shit. The difference between the two is that one has a specific manifestation method and the other one is all about scripting. And I teach you in the book on how to do that. Of course, I give advice on how to use a journal. And it's been so fun creating it. I've been having fun adding my graphics. I've been having fun adding my logo on it and everything. It has been such a fun journey. And I think it's important that you implement that in your daily life as much as possible. Implement something creative, whether that's a drawing, that's writing. It can honestly be anything. You can DIY stuff at home to make your home even cuter. Whatever it is, do it. If you've been wanting to do it and it's a fun project, put that aside. That is you stepping into your own creativity. It doesn't need to be perfect. You need to just focus on having fun. And if you're interested in ordering a manifestation journal, check my show notes and you can order one yourself. If you are local in the 805, reach out to me on Instagram at mindful.right and I'll make sure I get that to you in person. Now let's talk about the personal growth and development. We're going to go over a few things that can impact this and how you can show up for yourself today when it comes to that part of showing up for yourself. So a great example is investing time and energy towards your goals. That is a priority. You have dreams and goals for a reason. And I understand that being consistent and disciplined can be difficult at times. We don't have motivation all the time, but if you use motivation as your driving method, you're not going to get very far. So making time every single week, whether that's an hour or less or often it is, if you show up for yourself every single week, then you get to look back and recognize your progress and realize that you have been putting in the work. And it's because you've been purposely putting time every single week. Now, this is where it also ties into our mental health sometimes. When we don't show up for the things that we love, when we don't show up for ourselves when it comes to our dreams and our goals and going after what we want, we tend to correlate that. We tend to connect that to our self-worth. We start to feel guilty because we're not doing what we should be doing, we think we should be doing, and we start to doubt ourselves. We start to feel guilty, we feel shame. And that's how it ties into our well-being and why showing up for ourselves is important, why it matters. And when we show up for our dreams and our goals, we're so excited. We are proud of ourselves. A quote that really has helped me is just telling myself to take it day by day. Take it one step at a time. There is no rush to achieve what you want. There is no rush to achieving greatness. And if you have a career goal or you want to be this best version of yourself, you need to start showing up as them now. And the reason why I'm saying now is because you need to really develop those skills. You cannot become the best version of yourselves by doing nothing, right? So do what you can. I'm 100% sure whatever you're doing right now, you're doing your best. I know you're doing what you can. And if you have been feeling unmotivated recently, I want you to go back to your why. Why do you want what you want? But always know this, that what you want, what you desire, you are worthy of it. You deserve it. So get up and go after it. Another example of showing up for yourself, especially with your personal growth and your development, is practicing self-reflection. So what does this look like? So this is you taking the time to reflect on your experiences, to reflect on your own personal daily thoughts and understand your current emotions. Like, how are you doing? Because when you do that, you start to connect with your own intuition. You start to understand how you truly are feeling and how you can respond to the world. So take some time to understand your emotions right now. How are you doing? How are you taking care of yourself overall? And there's different ways that you could self-reflect. And it could be journaling, it could be meditating, it could be praying, it could be seeing a therapist. Those are helpful tools for you that you can utilize. And we all have that choice. So when you can, pause and take a moment to check in with yourself. By checking in with yourself, you also are building this trust within yourself. Like I said, you're building your intuition, you're connecting with your intuition. And when you self-reflect, you start to understand yourself on a deeper level. And that's where you can start leaning into your trust towards yourself, trusting in your abilities, trusting that you can become the best version of yourself. You can work on being happy. You can focus on your mental and physical health. It's all possible. And when you start to trust yourself, it becomes a little bit easier when it comes to making decisions, and you won't be impacted by other people's opinions because you're doing it for you. You know what you want, and you've leaned into your intuition to know what's best for you. Another example I want to share with you today is something that I really struggled with as I got older, but now I think I've gotten way, way, way better at it. And that's having boundaries. Boundaries when to rest, boundaries when to put in work, boundaries when you need self-care time, like you time, me time. Boundaries are just so important. An example of having boundaries is saying no to commitments that don't align with your values or your goals, that also don't create more stress in your life, that don't create burnout in your life. Setting healthy boundaries can really help you reduce your stress. It can improve even your relationships with your friends and even your partner, and just, again, prioritizing your own well-being. Boundaries are necessary. Say yes to things that really, really light you up. Say no to things that dim your light, that kind of make you second guess, like, why am I doing this? You don't need to do things you don't want to do. Obviously, there are certain parts of your work that may be tedious, that maybe you should do and get done, but don't force yourself to do things that don't align with you. It's just not necessary. I think by now you know showing up for ourselves is essential. It's how we can create this beautiful life of ours. And it's not always going to be super easy, and there's going to be times that are really hard, but that's what life is. Life comes with challenges, but those challenges are just lessons for us. And the more we show up for ourselves, the happier we will be. We need to follow our intuition, follow our dreams, and it's going to lead us to exactly where we're meant to be. It's going to lead us to the people that are supposed to be in our lives. It's going to lead us to people who may teach us lessons in our lives. And however you need to do it, if it doesn't hurt yourself or it doesn't hurt anyone, don't feel guilty. If you need to step away from a project for a minute because you need to focus on yourself, do it, because you are a priority. You can't show up fully when you're stressing out and you have too many things going on. You got to take a moment to pause and really do some self-reflection and ask yourself, what am I doing? Am I doing anything for myself that's benefiting me and my health? Am I doing anything to benefit my future? Am I doing anything to benefit my happiness? What am I doing? That is how powerful self-reflection is. Take a moment to pause and look within. Honestly, this kind of reminds me too of that SpongeBob episode where he completely forgets how to make a Krabby Patty. I'm sharing this because me and my husband watched this recently. We've been rewatching some old SpongeBob episodes, and he was so stressed about not having the pickles on the burger, even though he did because the guy was lying. But he was so stressed that he literally could not show up. SpongeBob is such a great example of showing us what stress does to us. We can't think clearly. Obviously in the episode it's like very overdramatic, but that's a great example. We can't show up fully when we are stressed. So take care of yourself. All right, beautiful souls, that is all for today's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe and share it with your friends. I really hope that you found this information very helpful and informative because, like I said, showing up for ourselves is essential, and I hope you do that today. So prioritize self-care, set healthy boundaries, make positive changes in your life, because that way you'll be able to start showing up for yourself more easily. Again, you get to choose your heart. So what are you going to choose today? Now don't forget, be mindful, because who you are from within will attract from the out. See you in the next episode. Up.